I'm Clare Parr. Recently graduated from Fine Art from Nottingham Trent University, and I'm wanting to use this opportunity in Tilburg to create a platform and give motivation to continue making work after graduating. My practice, curious with the endless potential of ordinary objects and their functionalities, observing the forms, I unpick their elements into representational, curious components of sound, motion, function. Switch. Often oscillating between sculpture, sound and film, I aim to frame the objects in particular ways, and I'm interested in how these objects are displayed. Specifically with the switch, going back to the elements of what I'm interested in, it was the form, the motion and the sound with this piece, where I dislocated the audio and played with the expectation of the idea of things being in sync or not in sync. Take moments of awareness to allow me to guide what objects I use within my practice, and then these objects then guide me into creating a new ready-made. And I'm interested in this idea of making the viewer aware and curious to these elements that I'm interested in. This piece became a huge fascination, because I became interested in how when a light flickers, it almost disrupts daily routines and it becomes quite like an irritating effect. So I kind of took that concept and I decided to make my own flickering light, and I became interested in the idea of how the way the object was presented, I installed it in a way that allowed the object to blend into its environment. So nothing really changed in the space apart from this flickering effect. And I find that really interesting, and how I become kind of slightly obsessed with these objects in a way that I can't stop noticing them. Once I create a work or once I become aware to it, I can't ignore it. There's a subtle element of manipulation as well within the work. This is shown in Untitled. So with this piece, I became interested in the huge potential of fans and how they're present in the majority of rooms, if it's an extractor fan or in our laptops or a desk fan. So I kind of became interested in this idea of the fact when we hear something from an object specifically, we expect it to be working. I pulled apart the object in quite a literal sense of removing the blade, and this became quite comical in a way, because once the viewer kind of became aware or noticed that the fact that there was no blade in the object, therefore it wasn't fulfilling its potential. But that's something that became a starting point of a series of works, and this is one of 4 pieces that I did for degree show this year. Down the stairs, through the door, down the corridor, and up the stairs. One element here, one element there. My most recent objects have become to blend into their architecture in an attempt to become overlooked again. And it's this idea of how I can try and predetermine what the viewer sees or experiences, and I kind of try to play with expectations in a way for the viewer, if that's placement or function of the object. And I'm interested in how the lines blur between art and real life. I only made these works about a week ago, doing a residency in Leicester. The space, I was interested in the space, so on one side of the wall you saw a window, but then on the other side, when you walk into the room, it's blocked off. So I kind of became interested in the placement. This became the main focal point for the piece. I decided to install a vertical blind, and obviously when you see a blind, you expect there to be something behind it. Creative writing is something that I kind of use to kind of make sense of everything, and just another way of documenting ideas and etc. So I kind of wanted to place something on the other side to kind of guide the viewer in a really subtle way, because when people walk into the space of the blind, the physical installation of it, they wouldn't even notice it. But then when you walk round and you see the written piece, are you blind to the blind? It's kind of like a subtle thing that I wanted to place in the same placement of where the window would be. Are you curious to its function?